The same energy fields that enable people like Ingo Swann to leave their body and travel through space are thought to be responsible for causing objects to move. This rare talent for moving objects by force of will alone has been termed psychokinesis, or PK. Ninel Kulagina is a Russian housewife who has this ability. These films of her demonstrating PK were made in a Russian hotel room and smuggled out of the country by American researchers. She gets the object moving with gestures of her hands or by fixating the object with nothing more than her eyes. Kulagina has been studied intensively for more than 10 years by Professor Sergeyev of Leningrad University, who has reported on her work. According to the Soviet view, PK is not accomplished by mind over matter, but rather by mind over force field. The Soviets claim they've already devised machines that create magnetic and other kinds of artificial fields that increase psychic powers, particularly telepathy and PK. According to Dr. Ravitz, in the 1951 Yale Journal of Biology and Medicine, the action of the sun and moon also affects the body's force field. Dr. Sergeyev agrees. The most favorable time for PK is during magnetic disturbances of the Earth caused by sunspot activity. What is beginning to emerge is a new picture of the human being, not an alienated creature, but a being enmeshed in an ebb and flow with everyone and everything around him. The pulsing magnetic fields of machines, Earth, moon, sun, the thoughts and emotions of ourselves and other people all affect the energy fields of our bodies, and in turn, the Russians say, our psychic powers.
Of various masks without contact. There aren't many people in the world who can demonstrate something of the sort, and even fewer can teach others to do this. In 2008, in Russia, a world record was registered in the nomination of the largest community of people who in the shortest possible time were taught telekinesis. At that point, there were 250 such people, and today there are thousands. The effect was confirmed many times on television, as well as by known foreign scientists and researchers.
Сегодня людей, обладающих необъяснимыми способностями, становится все больше. В Санкт-Петербургском институте биосенсорной психологии учат делать чудеса всех желающих.
Настоящих целителей, по крайней мере, имеющих диплом экстрасенсов, тоже найти несложно. Например, в ассоциациях и институтах. Будущих экстрасенсов и в городе, и на выездных занятиях в первую очередь учат телекинезу. Например, усилием воли вращать бумажную спираль, подвешенную на нитке в стеклянной колбе, или отклонять магнитную стрелку.
Друзья, наконец-то в нашей студии появился гость, который внесет немножко научного направления в наши праздношатающиеся мысли. Это Владимир Тонков, президент Института биосенсорной психологии.
Потому что такого увидеть практически больше нигде и никогда невозможно. Эти люди, обладающие сверхъестественными способностями, практически одной только силой мысли приводят движение предмета на расстоянии. Внимательно следите за руками, они еще и приводят в движение стрелки компаса. Чуть позже эти уникальные люди появятся у нас в студии, в прямом эфире на ваших глазах продемонстрируют свои возможности.
In terms of skills-wise, there were so many things, fun stuff that I learned. There's telekinesis, there's being able to control it, being able to move multiple objects, being able to move bigger and bigger objects, being able to move different kinds of objects, being able to move different objects in different ways, to be able to turn them, to be able to pull them, to be able to push them, to be able to rotate them, to be able to move them across surfaces. These are just some telekinetic skills.
These people attend the Institute of Biosensory Psychology. The founder of the institute and the chief specialist, Vladimir Tonkov, has been teaching unusual abilities to ordinary people for about 25 years. Serious research in telekinesis started back in the times of the USSR. In the 1980s, a group of scientists in physics, headed by Professor Gennady Dulnev, a PhD in technical science, conducted many experiments with the famous Ninel Kulagina on registering the phenomenon of telekinesis. In the experiments, Kulagina was to produce an influence on an analytical scale. Under her influence, the scale lowered and registered a maximum of 100 milligrams. When the scale was covered by a glass cap, the effect remained. In another experiment, the operator was to move an object placed inside a Faraday cup, screening electromagnetic fields. The object was moved successfully. This led to the conclusion that telekinesis was not of an electromagnetic nature. Later, under the guidance of Professor Dulnev, more experiments were conducted, proving that the nature of telekinesis is not related to gravity, electrostatics, acoustics, or heat, and so on. At the beginning of the 2000s, the Institute of Biosensory Psychology and its chief specialist and founder of biosensory psychodisciplines, Vladimir Tonkov, undertook the task of creating the conditions for obtaining unambiguous proof that a material component of our psyche does exist, that it is capable of influencing physical objects and subjects, and that this ability is not unique, but rather that it is inherent in everyone. At the first stage of research, which took years, the task was for everyone in the group without exception to reveal in themselves the ability to move objects without contact. The group was successful in achieving this task, thereby proving that there is nothing exclusive about learning contactless movement of objects, and that there is no predisposition to it, that this is an ability of every person without exception. In the years that followed, this conclusion has been confirmed by other study participants at the Institute.
What is up? We are live. Hey, it's February 7th, 2025, which means it's time for the monthly live stream. Welcome, one and all. Hey, if you're here in the chat, let me know in the comments section if you can see and hear me okay. I'd really appreciate it. I'll check the chat in just a moment. I am the creator of telekinesisschool.com, where you can find fast, free, and effective methods for developing telekinetic abilities for free. telekinesisschool.com. I also have a private website called treborseven.com, where you can access over 3 hours of additional tutorial and demonstrations that aren't available anywhere else. And I am the creator of sacredsupplements.com, where you can purchase or learn how to make all natural supplements with supernatural benefits. Sacredsupplements.com. So I realize this might be the first time some people have seen my live stream, so I've gone back to giving my little introduction there. Some people are like, who the heck is this guy? And what's he talking about? Well, typically we talk about psychic abilities in general. And today we're going to talk about sex. Whoa, that's right. So if you're under 18, I'd appreciate it if you step away, maybe watch another one of my videos. I've been putting this off for quite a while, just because I know my son watches a lot of my live streams and stuff. And this topic is for adults only. So if you're watching this and you're under the age of 18, you shouldn't be. Okay. Having said that, we are going to watch a demonstration or a presentation by Santos Bonacci, and he's known as Mr. Astrotheology on YouTube, I think, or he may be kicked off YouTube. He kind of went off on a tangent a while back. He kind of goes off the deep end sometimes, but he's a great teacher. Anyway, he went off on a tangent about pedophilia, which is okay to talk about that, but you can't start naming names. And I think that's what got him kicked off of YouTube. But anyway, He's a great teacher. I don't agree with everything he says and does, but when it comes to astrotheology, there's 7 layers or 7 levels of understanding the Bible, and astrotheology is one of them. He's a great teacher for that. And another great teacher is William Donahue, or Bill Donahue, not the Bill Donahue you're probably thinking of if you're old like me, but a guy on YouTube, Bill Donahue. He's a good teacher for the 7 different levels of understanding the Bible. Some of you may know, I was born and raised a Christian, and I was a Sunday school teacher as recent as 2004. So I'm quite well versed in the literal interpretation of the Bible. And then I spent about another decade checking out the other levels of the Bible. The reason I mention this, let me go to the chat and make sure some people can hear me here. Let's see. I hope so. This will be a really boring live stream if you can't hear me. Ultra Haze 2009 says, hey people. Oh, I forget I can show these. I'll show. Love and happiness. I welcomed you to the stream. Who else is here? Ultra says, hey buddy, it's me, Paul, an old student. I still trains your methods. How are you, my friend? Hey, welcome back. I'm doing well. Thanks for being here. The psychic couple is here and they are happy. We're happy you're here. Thanks for being here. Oh boy. Senana Abzu Inky. Sorry if I butchered your name. Wholeness and balance vibrations to you, yours, and ours, everyone. Oh, blessings to you as well, my friend. Thanks for being here. Eyes, ears. Hello, awesome channel. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Citro says, hiya. Hey, bud. Welcome back. Good to see you. Devilish Desires says, greetings. All right. Greetings to you. Thanks for being here. Soda Wata. I don't know how to say that. She says, hi. Well, howdy. And Cyprian says, hello, everyone. Welcome. Long time no see, buddy. Ultra Haze says, hey, buddy. Ultra Haze says, see and hear you good. All right. Yes. Thank you very much. All right. Well, I might as well finish these off while we're here. Cyprian says, here in the chat, where the cool people are. Yes, this is definitely where the coolest people are at the moment, for sure. Yes, I can see and hear you fine. Thank you, eyes and ears. You are the perfect person for the job. It's already Saturday, the 8th over here. Well, happy Saturday. Cyber says, MCS, where are you? Here it's 3 a.m. Bless your heart for staying up, man. Appreciate it. I enjoy Bill's lectures too. Yes, Bill's awesome. All right, all caught up on the chats. So again, like I was saying, we're going to do a little watch and talk. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get Santos in person, and I have been trying, but I've come to the conclusion that that's just not going to work out. So what I did was I went online and found the little section of the presentation that I am referring to. We're going to watch it. How long is it? It's about 20 minutes. We may watch it in its entirety, but we'll pause and talk, and it will be for educational purposes only. Fair use. This is for commentary and educational purposes. Please don't strike me. The channel I'm using, might as well give Awaken Music and Knowledge. Thank you, buddy. I'm going to borrow your video for just a moment. I appreciate you putting in all the cool graphics on it. It was pretty awesome. Let me see if I can get this thing going where you guys can see it. Let's go full screen. How's that look? All right. Looks like we're all set up. So basically what we're going to talk about is retaining our seed. In other words, avoiding ejaculation to conserve our life force energy. And I personally can tell you that there are great benefits to this, but there's not an easy way to do it. As you know, having sex is quite pleasurable, and sometimes things just get out of control and you can't avoid ending. But with some practice, and I'm going to give you some tips and some exercises and some links and everything, things that I use that got me on the right track. With practice, you can enjoy sex for hours and hours and hours until your partner is just 100% satisfied. And then you don't have to release your goodies to have fun. So we're going to watch a presentation that tells us why we should do this. And then I will check questions in the chat along the way. If there are any, I'll do my best to answer them. And then we're going to talk about how to achieve this. And then we'll talk about the benefits and possible concerns about retaining your semen. All right, so with no further ado, let's go over here and I'm going to kick this off. If somebody could let me know in the chat and make sure you can hear and see the video, I'd really appreciate it. All right, here we go.
Know about alchemical sexual alchemy? There's 33 vertebrates in your spine. There's 33 years in the life of Jesus Christ. Yeah. So this substance comes from your medulla, makes the trip down your spine to your sacrum, which is Christ coming down into human form. Yeah. And if you don't squander that essence, that sexual essence, it ascends again and goes back up to heaven.
Hey, eyes and ears, can you hear and see the video okay?
Which is your thing. It's also the story of Santa Claus. Why he comes down the chimney is because this juice or this whatever substance actually passes what's called the claustrum, which is where they got Santa Claus. So it goes down the chimney and back up the chimney.
In the brain, in the cranium, there is the cerebrum. And in the cerebrum, and in particular, the claustrum is sitting right there in the middle of the head, virtually. From the claustrum, there is a secretion, brain fluid. And this fluid is an oil. And in ancient times, this fluid was called, in Greek, it's called Christos. It's called the Christ. It's this beautiful fluid which comes from the cerebrum and pours down the spinal cord. It goes down the spinal cord and it reaches the sacral plexus.
Yeah, the spine is so important. It's like an extension of our brain. And those of you that have accessed my videos at treborseven.com, I revealed my little secret, my staff stretching routine that really gets that chi flowing up and down. You can feel it going up and down, kind of spiraling up your spine when you really get your chi built up and you've saved your seed and your spine is stretched and everything is flowing properly. Maybe a little ormus in the mix doesn't hurt. You can literally feel this transaction that he's talking about here.
Right next door to the sacrum, which are the 5 second bottommost fused vertebrae bones at the bottom of the spinal column. The bottommost portion of the spinal column is called the coccyx. Then just above that is the sacrum, 5 fused bones. So the sacral plexus is connected to the sacrum. And the fluid which comes from the cerebrum pours down the spinal cord and comes to the bottommost part of the spinal cord. Now, the claustrum is otherwise known as the holy claustrum, simply because of this beautiful oil, this Christos, that is produced and secreted. You see, the word secret comes from secretion, because this secretion is a secret. And the sacrum is the sacred part of the secret. As the secretion pours down the spinal cord and reaches the sacrum, this is the marvelous way in which our body has been designed. And the spinal cord is basically just an extension of the brain. It also does thinking. And you see, the holy claustrum is otherwise known as the Santa Claustrum. You see, because this fluid that goes down to the sacred plexus is a sacred fluid. And this is where the story of Santa Claus bringing presents down the chimney comes from. It's a story of physiology. And the Bible is a beautiful manual of physiological regeneration. What happens with this fluid is that every month when the moon is in the sign where your sun was when you were born, every month there is a germ or a seed planted in the solar plexus, which is just above the sacral plexus.
Okay, what he said right there, make sure I'm unmuted so you can hear me. Yeah. What he said right there is very important. I'm going to back that up. Listen closely to what he said. And then when the video is over, I'll show you how to utilize that little TED of information. Pay attention to what he's saying here.
And that germ where your sun was when you were born, every month when the moon is in the sign where your sun was when you were born, every month there is a germ or a seed planted in the solar plexus, which is just above the sacral plexus. And that germ is the oil, the Christ, which is born in Bethlehem, because the solar plexus is otherwise known as Bethlehem, where the seed, where the Christ is born. And that seed, that oil needs to return whence it came, in the midbrain. You see, as the oil ascends the spinal cord, the vibration of the oil of the Christ increases. And you see, first of all, the oil is differentiated in the pineal gland and the pituitary gland before it is sent down the spinal cord. And the pineal gland is the electric portion, and the pituitary gland is the magnetic portion. So the oil is differentiated and it is brought down the spinal cord via the Pingala and the Ida nerves. These are what is otherwise known as the Kundalini and the Kundabhatha. So it arrives at the sacral plexus and awaits for the germinating of the seed once a month, 12 times a year. And if we are able to transmute that seed and cause it to rise, as it rises in the spinal cord.
That's a very important point too. Cause it to rise. Just saving the seed alone is not going to do the trick. As you'll find out as the video continues, this is about mind, body, and spirit. You have to be tuned up and save this oil and exercise, moving your chi energy and stuff to get this transaction he's describing to actually happen.
It eventually reaches the medulla oblongata and the pons and the midbrain, and it crosses the vagus nerve, otherwise known as the pneumogastric nerve. It's a nerve which descends from the brain area, from the pineal and pituitary glands, respectively, and it feeds the lungs and the stomach. It's a network of nerves, and this network of nerves is called the tree of life. And you see, the ancients knew that this seed that is born in Bethlehem once a month is the Christ, and that if one were to abstain from sex during that period, that oil and seed would be saved, and it would rise, and it would burst through the heart chakra, through the throat chakra, and eventually the oil would arrive with its higher vibration, because you see at the bottom, the oil has a very low vibratory rate. Whereas with proper practices, meditation, breathing, good eating, and good peaceful behavior, one is able to raise that Christ, that oil, so that it crosses the vagus nerve at the top of the spinal column, the 33 vertebrae of the spinal column. You see, because the Christ is crucified at 33 years of age. When the oil arrives at the very, very top, there awaiting is the optic thalamus, an egg-shaped organ in the middle of the head. When it crosses this pneumogastric nerve, this is called the crucifixion. The oil is not killed and destroyed, but it is magnified 1,000-fold. And the oil then touches the optic thalamus and for 2.5 days remains in a condition that is considered to be dead, and then reaches the pineal gland after 2.5 days and illuminates the optic thalamus and the pineal gland. The optic thalamus was known as the light of the world by the Egyptians and the Greeks because they knew their physiology and anatomy. And they knew that this precious oil, which descended from the claustrum, from the cerebrum, and was differentiated in the pineal and pituitary glands, and descended the spinal cord, they knew that it would ascend eventually, and that the enlightened portion of mankind were able to cause this Christ oil to ascend so that it would ascend to the optic thalamus. And
I see there's a lot of people who just joined. We're watching a presentation by Santos Bonacci in regard to semen retention and the internal benefits and effects of practicing this. So if you just joined us, I am here, but we're enjoying this wonderful presentation by Santos Bonacci.
Cause it to be lightened. What in turn happens is that millions of brain cells that were dormant are now awakened. And you see, there are practices and there are things that are very, very detrimental about this oil, or that are detrimental to this oil. For instance, overeating and alcohol and sex practiced at the wrong time. These destroy the seed, and this is what is known as eating from the tree of life. Because you see, the ancients knew that once the oil is depleted because of riotous living, the fleshly organism dies. Death results from using up all of the oil. You see, the oil that descends from the cerebrum is known otherwise as the manna from heaven. You see, because heaven means heaved up. And the head, the cranium, the dome which sits on top of the torso, that was known as the heavens, you see. And the heart area and the heart chakra was known as the Midgard, or the middle garden. And the generative area was known as Sodom and Gomorrah, the area of desire, animal desire, you see. And otherwise known as Egypt and hell and the world, etc. Whereas the Garden of Eden and the land flowing with milk and honey, that's upstairs. In fact, the pineal gland produces the honey, a secretion known as honey, which has DMT in it, and the pituitary body secretes the milk. This is the milk and honey. And the land flowing with milk and honey is upstairs. This is a sacred secret simply because the secretion which comes from the sacral plexus is one of the most important things that we need to know for physiological regeneration. You see, by saving the seed, one can actually live longer. In fact, the ancients used to live for thousands of years by protecting and keeping this this secret and guarding it. The Egyptians built ascension chambers, pyramids, for this very purpose. And they taught the science of respecting and keeping and guarding and looking after this beautiful oil. And if you know the Gospels well, you will know all the scriptures that are referring to it. You see, I am the light of the world. He that follows me shall not walk in darkness. The light of the world is the optic thalamus. Keep your eye simple, for if your eye is dark, your whole body will be dark. That eye has always been known as the third eye. In fact, it's the spiritual eye. Now, as for the deniers, you see, most churchgoers will be denying this because in their mind, Jesus Christ is a historical person which must return physically in order to save them, because they cannot save themselves. They need a vicarious third-party savior. Whereas the opposite is true. And this is what the so-called Apostle Paul was talking about when he referred to the sacred secret of the Christ within, the Christ that dwelleth within. For you see, the kingdom of God is within. It's not without. And in fact, the words of Jesus are pretty clear where it says, do not be looking out there, for the kingdom of God will not come with striking observableness. Don't look here and don't look there, because there will be deceivers saying, oh, there he is, here is the Christ, there is the Christ. Because the process is within. And unless one is able to raise that energy and get out of the bottom chakras. You see, the bottom chakras deal with sexuality, strife, envy, power, greed, wealth, and all of those things. And if one is constantly seeking those things and constantly eating of the fruit of the tree of life, you see those beautiful nerves, the pneumogastric nerve system, they are responsible for bringing the oil back up, those beautiful spiritual presence.
So are you guys finding this interesting? Let me know in the chat if you have any questions. Should we continue? Keep going? This is a life-changing lesson we're observing here, and I'm so grateful to be able to share it with people. I just want to know if people are paying attention. If you have any questions, should we continue? Come on, type it up in the chat, guys.
And we are the ones who are responsible for channeling that oil, that Christ seed within, so that it eventually is crucified in the middle of the head. You see, the cerebrum is hollowed out, and the midbrain and the limbic system at the top of the spinal cord is the holy of holies. And the cerebellum, which sits at the back of the brain, this is otherwise known as the small brain. The cerebrum is associated with the top of the head, Aries, and the cerebellum is associated with Taurus, and the left brain, the male left brain. The right brain is the feminine, and it is connected to the cerebrum, Aries, the God brain. You see, we have the God man is the cerebrum, the Adam man is the cerebellum. Now, you won't get any of this in church. This is esoteric truth. Exoteric truth denies this and has been perpetuated for the last few thousand years by so-called Christian churches in order to deny and hide the true story of physical regeneration. In the past, people have lived for thousands of years by preserving and conserving this oil and transmuting it so that it reaches the optic thalamus. You see, what happens when the oil reaches the optic thalamus is that new blood is generated in the body. Until such time as this process has occurred, we will have old toxic blood in our physical organisms. And in order to regenerate and produce new blood, the oil must be raised to the optic thalamus, and healing can occur. And as I said before, the millions of dormant brain cells are and the heavens, the cerebrum, were awaiting the return of the prodigal son. You see, because we all have these dormant brain cells in our brains. Yes, because they have not returned any of the oil. And in the Bible, this is known as tithing. You see, this is why the Bible says you must return 1/10 to the Lord. Remember, the Lord, the Lord, refers to the gold. You see, this is how we turn lead into gold. Our spinal cord is like a thermometer. And as the mercury rises with warmth, the more so with enlightenment and consciousness and knowledge, we are able to raise the condition of this oil. And as it climbs the spine and ascends, it raises its vibration. In fact, when it gets crucified at the top of the spine where the pneumogastric nerve is crossed, this does not mean death. This means, crucifixion means to multiply 1,000-fold. And you see, not only is physical regeneration a result of this, but also spiritual regeneration. And one is able to experience the higher mind and clairvoyance. You see, mediumship occurs down in the solar plexus. There are 4 brains in the human body. The cerebrum, what is otherwise known as the God brain, the cerebellum, which is the man brain, the medulla oblongata, which is responsible for the involuntary actions in the body, such as breathing and blood circulation. And the 4th brain is the solar plexus, which is more related to the animal instinctive brain, which receives images from the ether, from the air, you see, just like the animals do, and they react correspondingly without reason and logic, instinctively. So you see, this is why it is so important to raise the oil, so that one can get out of the lower mind. The lower mind is the solar plexus, and wrought with problems. You see, ascension is within. One ascends to heaven, the heaved up place, the dome of the cerebrum. You see, those 2 flaps, those hollowed out hemispheres of the cerebrum, are otherwise known as the cherubim. You see, in the Bible, God says to Moses, you must build the Ark of the Covenant with 2 cherubim above the Ark, covering over. And inside the Ark shall be placed the manna and the law of God, the 2 tablets. Well, I'm here to tell you that the optic thalamus is the Ark of the Covenant. And the limbic system and the midbrain, the pons, the medulla oblongata, the pineal gland, these are the Holy of Holies.
Doesn't this make the Bible fascinating? I've had to reread. I read it 3 times now, but I had to reread it when I started learning about this astrotheology and the physiology and all the different levels of understanding in the Bible. I mean, they're the best 66 books in the world, man. Just read your Bible with an open mind and all this information, and you will glean so much information from that book. I'm not saying it's all 100% accurate Word of God, but there's a ton of really good information in the Bible. And this is just a little taste. If you're really liking this, search for Santos Bonacci and his teachings. I'm sure he's on a lot of other platforms besides just YouTube.
This is where one needs to return the good oil. In the middle of the head, there is something known as the hippocampus. The hippocampus is the little horse. This is the white horse that Jesus rides upon. There is something known as Ammon's horn. Yeah, absolutely. Ammon's horn in the middle of the head. Ammon's horn? Goodness me. Would that be in Jesus' name, Ammon, the same dude? Yeah, it would. We have the claustrum. We have the cerebrum, the covering angels, the cherubim, which cover over, because the cerebrum covers over the cerebellum and the midbrain and the optic thalamus and the pineal gland and the pituitary gland, otherwise known as Joseph and Mary. You see, these 2 are the ones that are responsible for sending the oil down the spine, down the spinal cord. And they are the ones that await the return of their son, who is born in Bethlehem, the solar plexus, once a month. Once a month, when the moon is in the sun sign, that you were born under.
Is that fascinating or what? I love that presentation. Now, the key thing, he repeated it there at the end. I forgot that he did that. When the moon is in your sun sign. So in order to do what he's asking us to do, you need to first know what your sun sign is. Everybody usually knows what their sign is. Mine is Pisces. And you know what? I'm going to go back and check the chat before I continue any further, see if there's any questions about the video. Oh, and then we got to share the joke of the day. We haven't done joke of the day yet. Hey, welcome. I see there's a lot of more people coming in. We're having a good crowd tonight. Thank you guys for being here. Let's go back to the chat. It says giving thanks. You're welcome. Ultra Hayes says continue. It's awesome. Yeah, that was back when I asked if people were enjoying it. It's hard, Trevor, when you have a woman like I have. Well, I could take that two different ways. I know what you mean, though. But your partner needs to be on board with you on this. You need to have a stop word so you can collect yourself. And stay tuned because I'm going to share some exercises that you can do that will help you in that department. Ultra Hayes says, learning a universe of information. Yeah, there's no way you can absorb this in one viewing. So I'll be sharing the link to this video. It will be in the description and it will be in the comment section. And if I have time, I'll even throw it here in the chat. Oh, Cyber says, yes, loud and clear. You can hear the video. Thank you. She says, Cypern Sus Sasha Cobra. Okay, that's code. I don't know what that means. This video is unlocking a lot for me. And yes, it will, but not just by watching it will it unlock it. You will have to practice this and use these resources I'm about to share with you and the exercises. And by this time next year, you should be a new man or a woman. A lot of this pertains to women as well. We always seem to aim it towards men, but these exercises, or at least one of these exercises I'm going to recommend is good for women. Simon says, yes, a lot of good information on this channel, people. Yeah, please check out my videos. So the video you saw at the beginning was just a little segment of a telekinesis documentary. I don't know, documentary might be a strong word, but a little collaboration video thing I did back in 2017, basically in response to a lot of people who keep saying, oh, if telekinesis is real, how come it hasn't been scientifically validated? Well, it has since like the 40s. And that information is not that easy to find, especially if you're looking on stupid places like Wiki and Google and AI. And they're not going to tell you about this stuff. This is a secret to life. This is a secret to longevity, unity. If all of us were in sound peace of mind, body, and spirit and knew how to save our seed and utilize our chi and collaborate, we could literally pray and change the world in real time. They do not want that. You need government. You need control. You need assistance. You need a savior. They don't want you to know about all that stuff. So, all right. So let's hit joke of the day. And I kept this in theme with the topic. What does the horny toad say? Rub it. Get it? Rub it instead of rivet. Yeah. That's about as close to a dirty joke you'll get on this channel, probably. All right. So I did mention that I was going to share some exercises with you. And we'll do that next. I'm trying to get my act together here. Put the banner screen back on. And then I got to go find my links. Thank you guys for being here. And thank you guys for watching afterwards. I know the majority of the people who watch this video aren't watching live, but I appreciate you guys as well. All right. So an exercise. Let me get rid of this for a second. Make sure. Okay. Yeah, I'm unmuted. I'm always paranoid about being muted. So the exercise you need to do is simple to do, and it's called Kegel. 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 Kegels. which is basically just contracting your pelvic muscles, like, you know, like when you're trying to stop the flow of pee, and then hold that for 10 seconds and release. You can do that right now. Right now, while we're watching, you can do that. Contract your pelvic floor muscles. That's different than your anus. It's a different muscle. And if you haven't been doing Kegels, it may take you a while to find it, but you'll find it next time you're peeing. Make yourself stop peeing. That's the muscle you want to flex. Then you hold it for 10 seconds and release it. Repeat it 10 times. So if you got a 5-minute car drive, voila, you got time to do your Kegels. And they say to do it 3 times a day. I think when you first start, hold it as long as comfortable and do it as many times as is comfortable, and work your way up to doing 10 for 10. And then do that once a day, and then twice a day, and then 3 times a day. And it'll start getting stronger and easier. And this is good for the bowels, the bladder, and the sexual organs, both for men and women. And I'm not going to get into the details of this, but you can easily do a search for Kegels, Kegel, how to do it, and then just start doing it. And it may take, 60 to 90 days or something to really start getting those muscles built back up. But when they do, then they feel strong, and you can flex that and hold it for 10 seconds with ease. That's all you got to do during sex. If you feel yourself getting too close to a climax, do your Kegels. Just squeeze that muscle and hold it. And then, it's a mental game too. So you'll have to, be careful about what you're thinking about. And then also be in tune with your partner. Maybe a little 2-tap on the shoulder. It means just hold still for a moment so I can retain and not go too far. And it's a cooperation thing. And it'll change your life. It will turn you into a sexual master, if you will, where you can please your partner for as long as she cares to be pleased. All right. And then the next exercise is called jelking, Jelqing, jelk or jelking. And it's a method used to increase the strength and size of your penis. So that's particularly just for men. You can do it with just your hand, or there's some advanced jelking techniques where you can actually use weights and other things. But again, I'm not going to get into the details of all of that on this stream. That's something you can look up. Kegels and jelking will change your sex, not only your sex life, but your life in general. Okay, so I mentioned that in order to do what Mr. Bonacci was telling us to do about when the moon is in your sun sign, you need to know when your sun sign is. So I'm going to share a link and show you where you can go do that. I'm going to the chat right now. I will post the link. I should title it sun sign, and show it shall be. Whoa, not spelled like that. It won't. Sun sign. What the heck? I'm pushing I and I'm getting a U. There we go. Sun sign. Gee, my name, Trebor. Can't type. Paste Daruski and enter. There it is. Okay. So there you can go find your birth chart. Let me put this on screen so you can see what she looks like. So all you have to do, can you see that? Yeah, you guys can see it. So all you have to do is go in here and put in your birth date. Doodly-doo. We're just going to put in a fictitious birth date of whatever, January 7th of 2025. That's fine. Then select your country, the place. If you just start typing in your city, it'll pull it up, and then hit calculate, and it will show you your natal chart, and it'll tell you your birth sign, and that will tell you where you're at. So you can find out what your sun sign is. And then in order to find out when the moon is in your sun sign, you can use this link. Really do. Paste and go. almanac.com/moon-sign. Let me put that in the chat while I'm thinking about it. This is for your moon. And paste and enter. Okay, there's the link to that. All right. So there's the two tools you need to find out when the sun is in, or when the moon is in your sun sign. And basically what you do is just scroll down here and you can, where is it? What is a moon sign? Oh, it explains what the moon sign is. What does the moon sign mean? Finding the moon in astrology place. You want to read that one. How does the moon sign affect you? The moon's, okay, here it is. Location. So we have the date and then we have the sign that the moon is in. So February 1st, it's in Pisces. So that would have been a great time for me to start, which is really a time for me to finish. I made it almost, well, I did make it 103 days or something like that. So I'm starting over fresh. I wish I'd have started on the 1st. But here's a point. You do not have to start your semen retention or climax avoidance on that day. You can start before or after. Just continue it from that day until the cycle completes. So it's actually better just start right now. Regardless of where the sun and moon are, start right now. Start doing your kegels, start doing your jelking and your semen retention, or for you ladies, just avoid final climax and strengthen your pelvic floor muscles. Get yourself in shape, not only physically, but this will do wonders for you mentally and spiritually, as Santos so well described, and it'll change your life. But check the comments one more before we move on. Got any questions or comments? Diddly-doo, diddly-doo. I forgot where I left off. I don't think I read that one. Kegels. I was with you until now. Joking. No, seriously. It's a very important exercise. It'll improve your health. And it's one of the muscles people don't think about exercising. It's a very important, like I said, not just for sexual reasons, but for your bladder and your bowels, and all this stuff will be way more important when you get older. I didn't learn about this until I was in my late 20s or something. I wish I'd learned about it way sooner. Get your kegels in, y'all. Yeah, no kidding. For real, get your kegels in. RS. I don't know what that means. Real stuff, man. That's real stuff. No friction. I don't know about that. What's that about? Oh, that's one thing that will become a concern when you become master of your seed. How long you want to go and how much friction can you take? You know, lubricants can do wonders for you in that department. I'm all ears, says Cyprin. That's good. And then to put these this knowledge into action and thank me later. Don't get surgery while there is a full moon or a new moon. Oh, really? Tell me more. I didn't know about that. I've known you want to get your haircut when the moon is waning, as in getting smaller, if you want to let the haircut to last a long time. And then, of course, the opposite if you want your hair to grow out faster. Douglas Kaufman says, hey, welcome, Doug. I'm sure there's a video for doing kegels. I am absolutely sure there are. Many videos. Minor Mendez says, cheers, Trevor. Well, cheers to you, and thank you so much for being here. All right, caught up on the chat. What else was I going to share with you? Okay, so there's always two coins to every sign, or there's always two sides to every coin. Hebida, hebida, hoobida. So we're going to go take a look and see if there's any benefits or risks to semen retention. What do you guys think about that? You know, it can't be all good. Can't be all good, can it? Well, based on my experience, yeah, it's all pretty good. But we're going to take a look at this, at what some other people say. This is from centurymedicaldental.com. How often should a man ejaculate? Health benefits of ejaculation. I just kind of browse this, so I don't know how much of this I'm going to actually read. Is there any reason to control your ejaculation frequency? It's a common question. There's no normal times. You should obviously ejaculate more for ages 25 to 29, and it decreases from 30 and then on. So I know when there's an old saying, young, dumb, and full of, you know what? That's true. You could probably get away with doing it more often if you're a younger person. And as you get older, you should definitely save that seed. Is it healthy? Yeah, it's healthy. It says you may achieve semen retention by abstaining from sex and masturbation, stopping sex before the point of ejaculation, or training your body to achieve orgasm without ejaculation. So the middle one is the one I use. Stopping sex before the point of ejaculation. And let me be clear, there's a big difference between masturbation and having sex with someone, especially someone you're in love with and you know real well, not a stranger, someone that you're a soulmate, so to speak. A big difference, but it releases toxins. It releases, well, we'll get to that. Okay, these are some possible complications. Epididymal hypertension. This occurs when a man is aroused but fails to reach an orgasm. When it happens for a while, you might feel pain in the testicles due to blood buildup upon the testicles during arousal. I have not experienced that. Ejaculation issues. If you intentionally avoid ejaculating for a while, you might develop ejaculation issues. These issues make it hard for you to ejaculate when you want to, or you might have premature ejaculations resulting in sexual problems. Again, no problem with that whatsoever. I've been doing this for years. Ejaculating once a day, is it right or wrong? It says there's no right or wrong, but you and I both know that would be a little excessive. When it comes to ejaculating, as there is not too much or less about ejaculation. Nothing goes wrong if you ejaculate once a day, or even more, as long as you are not a sex addict or have chronic masturbation habit. Okay, I think we can just do away with that whole paragraph. That didn't tell us anything. It is essential to know that ejaculating daily does your body better than harm. Notice there's nothing backing that up to say that. You know, you can say that real easy, but let's have a link to the studies that show that, because I've had quite the opposite. Can help, ejaculating can help in releasing stress. I agree with that. Boosting a mood, sure. Release of old semen to produce new semen. I'm not sure that's 100% true. I think semen, it only has a certain lifespan, and when it reaches the end of its lifespan, your body reabsorbs that and creates new semen. So I agree with 2 out of 3 on that one. When you release, the body discharges dopamine and oxytocin hormones. Dopamine and oxytocin. So there is a physiological reaction when you ejaculate that is healthy and good for you. And that's why it feels so good. You know how you feel right after that? Especially for me, and I can't speak for women, how you just feel like everything is right with the world. You're just at peace. You're open. You're honest. You just feel so good. Quite the opposite of someone pleasing themselves, where you might have feelings of guilt or regret. It's quite different when you're with a partner and you reach that magical point with her consent and at your control. That is one of the best feelings in the world for a human. So I'm not saying you should never do it. I'm just saying you don't have to do it every time. Dopamine is released when you experience pleasure, and it boosts your mood. Yes, it does. Oxytocin is a hormone that reduces levels of stress. So yeah, there are definitely some benefits to doing it. Can you die from over ejaculating? I only have to read that. You know you can't. Health benefits of is not only a source of pleasure, but is beneficial for health too. There's no standard number of times you should do it. Here are some health benefits and how it helps your body and mind. Keeps the body healthy. Is a result of sex as a form of physical exercise. That part's true, but you don't have to have an orgasm to get the exercise. The body becomes active during sex, which keeps it healthy. True. Gets your heart pumping. Also releases oxytocin. We already talked about that. And yeah, stress is not good for the body. So just kind of a repeat of what we just learned about. Relaxes the body, which ensures you have quality sleep. That's true. You usually sleep real well after that. Proper sleep keeps your tension free, which in turn keeps the body healthy and fresh. So yeah, I can agree with that. So there are pros and cons to that, of course. Keeps the heart active. But so does just having sex for a few hours. Helps prevent cancer. Now, that is the one thing I've read, and there are some studies backing this up. So, maybe if you're battling cancer, or your lifestyle is cancer forming, say you're a smoker, or you're around deep fat fryers a lot, or all these, external things that can cause cancer, you might consider ejaculating a little more often and avoid holding it for hundreds of days if you can. So, like I said, here it says studies have shown men who ejaculate at least 21 times a month, whether through sex or masturbation, have a 31% lower risk of getting prostate cancer. That's pretty big, 31%. So, that's something to consider. I haven't really worried about that. I'm not going to get cancer. And if I do get cancer, I'm going to heal it myself. Ejaculation can add years to your life. Let's see what it says. I don't know if I believe that. Extensive and healthy ejaculation have been deemed necessary for a chance of optimum health. A study, so one study has revealed that having regular sex can reduce the risk of death by almost 50%. What? I guarantee you 100% of people are going to die. Let me read that again. Having regular sex can reduce the risk of death by almost 50%. While it does not mean that ejaculation leads to immortality, it can add up to 4 years to a man's lifespan. I need to take a look at that study. Quite the opposite of what Santos was just telling us about our ancients and the mystics and the teachers. They could live for hundreds of years, saving and regenerating their seed. We're going to have erectile dysfunction. We're not going to do. Okay, I think that's about it on that one. And let's put this back on and go back to the chat Ruski, see if there's any questions. And then if not, I think I've covered about everything I wanted to hit on this stream. Again, mucho gracias for you being here. Appreciate you. Where were we at? Cyprin liked my joke. Thanks. Yeah, I got a ton of them. Rub it. Teleporting rabbit. Hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for teleporting into our live stream. Actually, it seems like just a full moon. And then when the moon is in the sign associated with the body part being operated on, something to do with complications and increased blood flow. Okay. No question there, and no comment. Unless you're referring to, it has to be the full moon in your sign. I don't know if that, let's see, how long is a moon in a sign? Is a moon in a sign for 28 days? I'm unsure of that. But like I said earlier, just start now. Doesn't matter. Just start now. And if you go 100 and plus days, you will have already covered that time when the moon was in your sun sign. But like I said, I share those links, and I'll be sure to put them in the video afterwards too, for those who are watching later, where you can go find your sun sign and where the moon is. And if you want to wait till that magic day, or maybe you could start practicing now. If you let loose, we'll say once a week or twice a week, see if you can make it once every 2 weeks, or, start backing off a little bit. Maybe have sex without reaching an orgasm just at least once. Maybe there's people out there who have never even done that. To be perfectly honest, for a lot of people anyway, right before climax is when the pleasure is the greatest. So you can do, what do they call that? Edging, I think is what they call that. When you get as close as you can without going over. That's actually the best. You can reach that point multiple times without, ending it. So anyway, any more chats? Let's see. Teleporting Rabbit says 2 days. Lost me. 2 days. But I thank you for being here this day. And a thank you to my coworker, Mike, for covering me for another 7th so I can make it on the 7th. So we do these live streams on the 7th of every month at 7 p.m. Central Time. And I appreciate you guys being here. We had a good crowd today. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. Links to the video from Santos and all the information I shared will be in the video description within 24 hours. I do have a heart out. I have places to go, people to see, and things to do. So in the meantime, take good care of your body, follow your spirit, and open your mind. There's magic inside.